brothers is telling him, yo, listen, this is not right and that. And so things proceed. So when he comes here, it's kind of like, yo, look, God's already told you what it is. What you came here for. I'm not going to tell you nothing, right? I'm not going to tell you. What you expect me to tell you? Oh, yeah, nah, they not right and shit. Yeah, you down with me. What do you expect me to tell you? The topic is people keeping pet snakes. Where, see, like Supreme Man said, right? You got your sword out. You got your sword out, right? For the righteous. You got your sword out. The revolution is eating his baby, but see, you got pet snakes. You got snakes that you like. And you go above and beyond letting them live, you keep them alive. You see? And what they do? Sting again and again and again and again and again. There's a difference between disagreeing and what you speak is not Allah's teaching. You know what I'm saying? And see, Supreme, I'm gonna tell you what's disappointing, right? Is to know and brothers is telling him, yo, listen, this is not right and that. And so things proceed. So when he comes here, it's kind of like, yo, look, God's already told you what it is. What you came here for. I'm not going to tell you nothing, right? I'm not going to tell you. What you expect me to tell you? Oh, yeah, nah, they not right and shit. Yeah, you down with me. What do you expect me to tell you? The topic is people keeping pet snakes. Where, see, like Supreme Man said, right? You got your sword out. You got your sword out, right? For the righteous. You got your sword out. The revolution is eating his baby, but see, you got pet snakes. You got snakes that you like. And you go above and beyond letting them live, you keep them alive. You see? And what they do? Sting again and again and again and again and again. There's a difference between disagreeing and what you speak is not Allah's teaching. You know what I'm saying? And see, Supreme, I'm gonna tell you what's disappointing, right? Is to know and brothers is telling him, yo, listen, this is not right and that. And so things proceed. So when he comes here, it's kind of like, yo, look, God's already told you what it is. What you came here for. I'm not going to tell you nothing, right? I'm not going to tell you. What you expect me to tell you? Oh, yeah, nah, they not right and shit. Yeah, you down with me. What do you expect me to tell you? The topic is people keeping pet snakes. Where, see, like Supreme Man said, right? You got your sword out. You got your sword out, right? For the righteous. You got your sword out. The revolution is eating his baby, but see, you got pet snakes. You got snakes that you like. And you go above and beyond letting them live. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. We. And 2 and 2, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let's tagging that ladies in here with us. We get back. So what we up to? What we up to out there today out there with all the people? Do you actually need all this light? It's a little bit bright on the eyes right there. You don't want to ruin my focus. So what's the deal? What's going on out there? Y'all can see, I don't know if whoever wasn't on yesterday, but yeah, we got some new techniques over here. What happened? My name is not, my name needs to be, they can say what they want, spell my name right. DeBar, what's the deal? And DeBar, I was thinking about you because I was watching, I've been watching, or really just paying attention recently, right, to a lot of the African kids, and I was wondering if there's a thing, right, that's being noticed, I guess, from inside the culture that uh, they seem to be like falling into the bad parts of American culture really fast, like faster than other groups, at least in New York City. There's something to that. Felix Almanzar. What's the deal though? What's going on out there with y'all? We wait for a few more party people to get in here. A few more party people before we get down to the nitty gritty with the topic. We're gonna have to take a couple breaks because I got my food out there in the kitchen as we speak. But True Light, what's the deal? Make sure let's plug in. It's supposed to be plugged in. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be picking up. It seems to be picking up some kind of pace, though. It seems to be, how fast they can, you know, indoctrinate people. FDJ Beats, District 120 Music. Because I'm saying it's happening in, like, like it's kids that came here like 6, 7 years old, and by teenagers, like they I can't call it. They just picking up a lot of the worst kinds of habits. I got a bit. I'm over here. I got all these new toys too. Jado. Oh wait. Oh. Yeah, we just found something. We just found something new. We're gonna have we're gonna have a really good time. So the tiger, that lady over here says that she's looking for someone to replace Darkim on my next album. I mean, on the one hand, good luck with that. I don't know. I don't know I don't know how that's going to work out for you. Thus far, no one's been successful at that. He said, I've heard some first start by losing their language. You see, there's some of them that I think, uh, because here's one thing I noticed, right? Whenever I see them wilding out, there's never any parents around. So I suspect that when they go, when they when they get back to when they get back to or when they around the family or whatever, that they not behaving like that. That that's strictly a when the cat's away type of thing. So King Math, what's the topic? So the topic today is love, peace, and happiness, or death, hell, and destruction. That's the general topic when we get down to the nitty gritty, what we're going to be dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Divine understanding. Are you ready to get down to the nitty gritty? You ready to get busy? You know, what you think about that? Love, peace, and happiness, or death, hell, and destruction? Let's go ahead and get this thing here started. Wow. Free cipher love. But you know, anybody can answer that. See, a lot of times, you know, even like when people is talking, right? You know, it's always, you know, people, the signs of the times is always some negative shit. You ever notice that? How many times you seen something positive happen and people say, "Yep, see, that means the end of the world is coming right there." that's that's it right there, man. That's the seventh seal right there. Has been broken. How many times has that happened in your long-legged life? He said, "Love is the understanding of self and things related to self from one's knowledge of wisdom." Anybody else? Anybody else want to add on to that? Anyone? Anyone? You ever got all this new screens and stuff, man? Got the comments all out there, and nobody to comment with. How do we get to a place like this? I guess everyone's at work. So let's try from this angle. Heaven and hell, right? What is heaven and hell? Whew. Don't everybody rush to answer at one time. So I gotta get my other get my, let me see if I got something for the moment. I gotta get my, what do you call those? I gotta get my sound effects in here for you. Anyone? Whew. Is, is everyone's keyboard, is everyone's keyboard stuck? Okay, so moving right along. Right. You know, love, peace, and happiness, and death, hell, and destruction. You know, that's you said there's two sides to that. Those who knowledge of self and without the knowledge of self trying to live the American dream. Um, Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You see, that's just the product of your thoughts and actions. And so when we say, or when I say that, there's no physical heaven and hell. There's no fiery place under the ground, right? And there's no, place where everybody's rocking angel wings and people's playing the harp and you living in the clouds, right? So those is conditions that people create for themselves, right? I mean, you got of course, conditions that you could be, I guess, born into, right? Where you could be born into those conditions already of death, hell, and destruction. But all of that exists right here on the planet as a result of, you know, things that you do, right? Or things that you're a victim of or a beneficiary of. You know what I'm saying? Because the same way you got people that could be born into a condition of hell, you got people that's born into a condition of heaven. You know what I'm saying? You said heaven is peace and hell is chaos indeed. But when what's the root of that peace or that chaos? What would you say is the root of it? I understand. So we are taught that we must civilize, teach civilization, righteousness, and knowledge of himself. The opposite or polarity or opposite is what happens when knowledge is withheld or misused. And yeah, that's dealing with the general condition. But just when we dealing with the person, right? You know, see, love, peace, and happiness, and death, hell, and destruction. That's what happens when it's not about games no more. Divine, what's the deal? It's been a minute. Keep that. So when a man applies his knowledge in a proper way, the reward is the heaven he makes. Hell is the penalty for the devilish man he fell victim to, or that he's responsible for it too. So heaven is home where peace is present and is actually wherever on the planet Earth it is. Exactly. Heaven and hell are both a state of mind that is manifested in life. To see that state of mind really starts from you. See, because look, how many times, right, we've heard that, this person unalived themselves, right? And, you know, from the outside looking in, we like, yo, they living a charmed life. They got this, they got that, they don't have to do this, they don't have to do that, whatever it is, right? That in your mind, right, that would be a heavenly condition, right, for them. Somehow they were struggling with that. You know what I'm saying? And then you see people, right, that's going through a condition where you like, man, I don't even know how this person survived through that every day. And every time you see them, they got a smile on their face. See, one of the things that sparked this topic, right, is uh, brother, you know, he basically he doesn't want to be tested. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to be tested. And see, that's what I'm saying. That the real test, right, is the 21 ciphers. That's the real test. It's not the, people asking you, or, look, people asking you about what you did, or, you know, people talking about what you did, right, or didn't do, and actually having to go outside and manifest. And then now, see, this is in stone now. It's in stone. It's been lived out, right? Now look, here's where the key comes in, right? Here's the, look, and I am who I am, right? Love it, eight. But look, when you built your heaven, right? Was that someone else's heaven? Did everybody catch that question right there? If you caught that question, put one in the box. You said the root of it is when you said the root of it is when you attain love, peace, and happiness, all three at the same time. That's heaven. Yeah, but now the root of it got to be in the mind. The root of it got to be you. You can't. We all know people like that. That nobody likes them because of them. But they build up, the victim mentality in their mind that nah, it's everybody else that's doing it. Remember, if you're doing righteous and devilishment, right, then you have religion. See, now you can't do that. You see what I'm saying? It's like a fly in your soup. It's mixing clean water with dirty water. It's not half clean. it's, it's not it's not half clean. See, I bet you look when a person say that, when a person say they live in half righteous and half devilishment, right? They not I bet you the devilishment they not doing that to themselves. How many how many of those situations you think the devilishment they doing is to their own self? You said 21 ciphers, meaning the weight of the world. I mean, that's where that's the degree. You know what I'm saying? But it's it's not just the world. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the environment. You know what I'm saying? Remember, the Earth is making that terrific speed on its way around the sun. You see what I'm saying? These are the ciphers that you're going through right here. And see, you already see it says wisdom knowledge. 21 ciphers. So you already know, man, a lot of these ciphers gonna be some bullshit. But you're gonna have to, you know, either leave it alone or reverse the polarity. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have to leave it alone or you're gonna have to till that land. And you're gonna go through ciphers. Dealing with that. And then now, see, now it's time, man, can you apply the knowledge? Apply the knowledge, not just recall, right, and regurgitate what you heard brothers say in the cipher, but being able to apply the knowledge in these 21 ciphers so that you come out with what, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, there's a lot of things, that people, you set out to do, but then what did you come out with? If you started out with the ideas, right, of all of this, knowledge and righteousness, but then how did it turn out? So that's when God blesses you with something like you found some money or something, praise God. But what about the person that lost that money and is blaming for the devil for that money lost? Hey, look, what about when God wins the championship for us? what about what about when our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ gets us that gold medal at the Olympics? You know what I'm saying? But on a serious note, right? On a serious note, right? That's what, when we look at the 1 in 36, when we look at, tell us what Yakub promised his nation he would do. See, when we get to that point, you know what I'm saying? And then when we get to, you know what I'm saying, in a more, you know, dealing with ourselves, you know, a lot of things that some of our brothers and sisters choose to do in the community, right? They choose to do things in the community, right, that might make them live like kings, right, and be treated like kings and queens, right? But they bringing about death, hell, and destruction to the community. So maybe if a person is abusive to themselves, see, if they're abusive to themselves, that's not really devilish. Like that's not the same. Like, see, it's like, look, say you got somebody, right? That look, they don't get high, they don't drink, right? They don't do none of that, right? The body is a temple, right? But they do push in robberies of old ladies, right? They doing they do push in robberies of old ladies, right? Now let's contrast that with somebody who, let's say, they smoke crack, but they help everybody in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, somebody got some groceries, you need help taking that up or whatever, or you know, you just need somebody to watch something right here while you run up the block or whatever, or you know what I'm saying? Yo, you need an extra 50 cent at the store or whatever it might be. You know, whatever that they don't got a lot, but they always look out. Those people is nowhere in comparison. Those people is not, and one of those people are doing their own thing. One of those people do not belong. You know, the second person, look, they need help. You know, they're taken away from their own potential. You know what I'm saying? But they're not taken away from everybody else's potential. And so that's the difference. But see now, when they start when they start stealing from you in order to get that, now you crossed over to where now, yeah, in order to get yourself up, you know, you didn't really get yourself up. What you really did is cause me. You did some shit that caused me to take a step back, but you didn't advance. See, that's when you fucking up. You know what I'm saying? This is the reality of the situation, and then it's like, all right, now, right? We the 5%. We got all this knowledge, right? We we the 5%. We got all this knowledge, and so in all these various situations, you know, first and foremost, our home, right? We responsible for uh, the love, peace, and happiness, and the death, hell, and destruction that's around us. See, that's what it comes down to, man. It's like at the end of the day, you can't have it both ways. You know, I mean, from my perspective, and I know, listen, a lot of times I come with a perspective that people might think is ignorant, but look, I'm me, right? I can't, you know, if I could, I told y'all, if I could go back, I probably never would have came around here. But look, I'm saying according by what we saying. I'm just saying, if you saying you God and you the devil, right? I mean, you the God, you God, and white man's the devil, right? And then you waiting for some type of death, hell, and destruction to befall the devil from some other miraculous whatever, lightning bolts, natural disaster, whatever you expecting to happen, right? All right, let's shrink that down to regular people. You got a static with somebody, and you waiting for somebody else to come and handle that business. You hear your whole life with the devil, like bro, that other shit ain't gonna happen. Because if it was, this is what I'm saying. What like look, if there's a Jesus, right? Why is he letting the Gaza shit go on right now? And I'm just saying that's just one thing that just came to my mind. You know what I'm saying? But you know, there's equal, if not worse shit than that going on in other places in the world. Like they still wilding in Darfur and all these type of places like that. Exactly. He's setting up home. If Jesus exists, he's setting up home. So I mean, I don't know what would give anybody confidence. Is my point. I don't know what would give anybody confidence that any of that's really gonna happen. Hold on for 1 second. I tell you, I got my food in there. We go right now. Do a little commercial break. Whew. So like I said, being that uh, I don't have any confidence at all, right? That something is going to happen, especially within my lifetime, right? Within my lifetime, that's going to make no change. Then that's what I'm responsible for. He said Jesus ain't save himself or the Jews when he was here. I mean, hey, it was a scene like that in the movies. In the that's one of the reasons. Oddly enough, right? They made those movies in order to indoctrinate people. But one of the reasons that I came 5% is because I used to watch those like Moses and Jesus of Nazareth and all the movies like what's the dude Charlton Heston and all that. I used to watch that stuff, right? But the thing is I thought it was real. Like I thought this was like I knew the difference between. I know it's Hollywood. Don't get me wrong. I understand that Star Wars was fiction, right? But I also knew that it's movies about Martin Luther King or JFK. You know what I'm saying? That's these is biographical. So I'm thinking, as a kid, I'm talking, 5, 6, 7 years old, that this stuff is real. And so when that stuff never happened in real life, or, once I started realizing that, wait a minute, I get old enough to start Would you critically thinking and realizing that, yeah, wait a minute, this stuff can't be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is the story, this can't be real. So that's one of the first things that started me to questioning, all this stuff. But I brought all that up to say is that when we used to watch those movies, it was a scene, right, where whatever town they was in, the city they was in, the city was being destroyed, right? And the one dude, he was sitting there praying or whatever. He said something to the one dude, and the one dude, he was booking. Like, he was getting up out of there. And the dude said something, and he just looked at the dude and said, God helps those that help themselves. And bounced on him. And that was another thing that is stuck in my mind. It's stuck in my mind about, just the science of, whatever you want to call that, uh, you know, who is God and how he operates. Michael Davis, welcome to the channel. Jesus is just us, ain't no aid coming from one who experienced a physical death. However, Jesus' example can give lessons to those who have eyes to see. Yeah, and look, one of the lessons, right, is that Jesus was one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the history of all that time, when you look at it, right, you know, uh, people don't really come from across wherever and save no people over there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, George Washington was an American. You see what I'm saying? You know, you got, I guess, in the superhero in the movies, you got Superman from a whole other planet come and save people. You know what I'm saying? Moses was a Jew. All the various people, you like, yo, this person, Saladin was a Muslim. Anytime, you look at a person, right, who came and saved some people, he was produced by those people. Or she was produced by them people. You see what I'm saying? Harriet Tubman, she saved her people. See, that's why I don't get caught up in proselytizing. And why certain people, I already tell you, see, I pay attention, like, how did this person, when I ask you, like, whose people is this? Who saw this person and say, yeah, they just like me? Sometimes I wonder that. Who's this? Allahi? Which Allahi? It's my Allahi right here. Yeah, but get back to my point. What I was saying is that being that ain't no, uh, ain't no outside forces coming to save us, right? Then we got to take the devil off our own planet. That's what it says, right? See, this is what I'm saying. You got to draw the lessons up. You got to draw the lessons up to what it means right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother asked the question yesterday, or a lot of times questions come like that, right? Where those is the various layers that you got to comprehend 120 through, right? You know, you got to comprehend it through that. Uh, I'm not sure if you would say the historical or the contemporary context, right? Meaning, contemporary meaning at the date of that writing. Okay? At the date of that writing, conditions was a certain kind of way. And necessarily, all of those conditions is not the same exact way right now. So, you know, the brother was talking about in particular, you know, when the degrees talk about being illiterate, you know, what that means now and what that means and what that meant at the time when they wrote it, right? Or the way we apply it now is different from the way that it applied then. All right, yeah, it's he signs some right. I ain't even know you be I ain't even know you be on these joints, right? But you know, it's a new day and time. You know, I seen that. You know, which I'm not in the position to uh, take shots. You know, because I'm on here, and you know, I'm one of the people that kind of, I guess, brought that type of you know, that type of idea out. But you know, yeah, a lot of people want to get their story out now. That's a lot of people is a lot of people is coming, man. You know, for various purposes. You know, me, I didn't really have. You know, I wasn't really attempting to get my story out there. You know, my whole goal. But see, that's what I'm saying is that that's kind of, you know, that was one of the catalysts when I came on in, was that uh, it just became so easy, you know, because of how easy it is to assume whatever identity on the internet. It became easy for people to start, uh, you know, just saying things in our name. It became a little bit too easy, and then you know, that actually got to the point, right, where, you know, there's people causing confusion on the on the there's people causing confusion on the internet, and then that confusion is spilling out into the real world. You know, like somebody makes some statement on the internet, or somebody's going at it with somebody on the internet, and then, you know, we in the real world talking about that like it's affecting us. Like there's other things we could have been did with that 5 minutes that we talked about that. You know, when you 15, you don't think like that. We stand there for hours and talk about shit I can't even remember now. Hours. You supposed to be going to the store. you you supposed to be going to the store. Hours later, you just get back. But now I be nah, man. I got, you know, I needed that 5 minutes. I could, unless I could have did anything with that. So then, that's what really came with this, and I think, you know, we accomplished that. We see now we affect the internet. See, people get on the internet now. People get on the internet now and talk about what happened at the rally, what happened at the showing pool, what's going on at the school. Whatever it is, whether it's positive and negative. But for me personally, I know which way this water, this river is supposed to flow. I don't. It's not my style at all. Yeah, the images. Look, I gotta get some more. Like I gotta work on it. It's like a double-edged sword because when I work on it, then that takes away from the time. That's one of the reasons why I got on late. Things start running into extra innings. A couple more minutes, and I gotta go get my chicken out the oven. Somebody make sure they remind me. But yeah, you're right. They do. You get like WW. You get like WWE. The world is like WWE. I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, speaking of ingredients, I didn't get a chance to set the video up. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna do an extra one, cause y'all know I'm into, I'm not, all vegan. I don't go too crazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't go too crazy. I do my juices or whatever. If I get access to some Irish malts, like if, anytime uh, Alshine, come through or whatever, I'll make sure I get my Irish malts. I don't get too crazy, man, but I'm moderately strict with my dietary law, man. And that's not even, you know, I don't even know if that's, I don't know if you have to be, if you have to have a specific dietary law to not want rotten fruit and vegetables. But I'm gonna show y'all the video because it had a name and it showed you the sticker that on this thing, the weekend of excellence. Wait, another one? Complete? This is a different thing from the camping trip. But yeah, at any rate, I saw the what's the name on this, and this is a situation where when fruit and vegetables is going rotten, they got some chemical that they spray on it, and then they put a sticker on it. But I mean, it's not like the sticker's gonna save your life. Like I'm not, you know. I mean, I'm glad they putting a sticker on there so that so we can know, right? What was the name of the sticker? I don't recall. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna do a particular one. It might go on the City Sciences channel. I'm broadcasting on both channels again today. I'm broadcasting on both channels again today. But yeah, though we gotta. All right, I gotta get that. I gotta get that, man. See, I can check that out. I mean, I want to check it out too. I mean, I saw it. So from now on, when I go into the produce section, I'm gonna be aware. But yeah, that needs to. You gotta keep track of that, and keep track of the numbers too. We covered the numbers on here before, right? That when you look at the fruit, right, it has various numbers on it. Like some of the numbers start with 4, some of the numbers start with 9, some of them start with 8, and those numbers tell you about how the fruit was grown. Like if it's GMO, if it's organic, you know what I'm saying? If it's I guess just normal. Shit, it's the same thing. We growing it. We got the seeded watermelons on the way. Weekend of Excellence will go down again in 2 years. So y'all had two events this year. Yeah, it's funny that you bring up seeded watermelons and we talking about this topic. I found out why, or not why. I found out how there's watermelons with no seeds. I guess it's kind of a why. Well, I found out the science behind why there's watermelons, how there's watermelons with no seeds. What you said, IRS produce. What is IRS produce? Yeah, I found out the science behind that, and I was wondering that for a while. But yeah, it turns out that now I know. You said it's produce too. Yeah, that's what it is. It's fruit and vegetables primarily. I didn't see them from what I saw. They didn't speak on it being about me. It was strictly about fruit and vegetables that was going bad, and right before it went bad, they sprayed some chemical on it, and then I guess according to whatever uh, what you call that, USDA or you know FDA, whatever guidelines, they probably got labeled it like that. But that's what I'm saying. Without putting that on the news, yeah, but complete. I found out the specific the specific way that they're grafted. The science behind uh, how they're grafted. But I guess we could go for the first, the first round. We could go for the first round here of do we have any questions? Hopefully it don't get too, hopefully it don't get too crazy. So that's
have some really great stuff over here. He said, put the article in the chat. Which article? The one about the fruit? The rotten fruit? It's look, I'm gonna do a reaction. I'm gonna do a reaction video. Hold up, I'm trying to get prepared here. Oh, that's come. Need a couple more what's names. He said seedless watermelon is crazy. It's a sterile hybrid that results from crossing a tetraploid, 4 sets of chromosomes, watermelon with a diploid, 2 sets of chromosomes, watermelon plant. So in this way right here, right? In this way right here, they produced like a mule. So you know how mules or those hybrid animals be they not fertile because it needs to be pairs of chromosomes. So once those chromosomes can't pair up like that, then they can't have germ cells. And so those white seeds in empty spaces, right, is where because they sterile, they not growing the seeds that uh, would make them be able to reproduce. You know what I'm saying? So they're putting some chemical. They're putting some chemical on the some of the what did he say there? The diploid. They're putting a chemical on some of the diploid uh, watermelons as they developing. And so then when it's time for them to when they cross pollinate those together or whatever, they end up with basically uh, a mule. Hybrid animals uh, very rarely are they able to reproduce, or hybrids in general. But I can't. That's the thing that bugs me out. Right? Is why would they want to do that? You said all fruit is grafted or cultivated. In the 1 at 36, it states 17 million righteous Muslims, while 1 at the 2 million Indians calculated in that number, who specifically fall under the heading of 17 million righteous Muslims. Well, in the 1 at 36 is speaking about a particular history. You know what I'm saying? The 2 million Indians wouldn't fall into the category of his uncle that was brought over here 379 years ago by the trade. He said to speed up the process. Yeah, but and I mean, it's speeding up the process. Complete. Here's my question to that. Right? Is speeding up the process worth more? Right? Because you got to think in a in a in a in a regular watermelon, you could plant damn near a whole field. You could plant damn near a whole field of watermelons, right, with the seeds from one watermelon. I'm not sure, from a business standpoint that I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. He said possibly cultivated is a better word. I mean, there's a difference between grafted and cultivated. See, like you got people that have been through various changes, right? Like you got the pygmies, right? That they're not even 5 feet, and then you got the people in Kenya that they average like 6'9" or something like that. You see what I'm saying? You know, that's through whatever choices that they made. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's not the same as what Yakub did. So, in the same thing, when you dealing with fruit, right? Specifically, when you're dealing with fruit, right? We're gonna cultivate certain fruit by eating it. Like, see, if we go into the forest, let's say, right, and let's say we collect some watermelons, we're gonna collect the ones that we think is the sweetest, is the juiciest, and then when we bring them back by us, we're gonna eat them, and we're gonna spit the seeds somewhere right around us. And so, whatever's the characteristics of those ones that we took is going to continue to multiply and develop right here. And the ones that we didn't pick, you know, they might still exist, but they won't be the varieties that we have. That's different from uh, you causing something to be no more the same. Yeah, self our build according to the lessons they was exiled 16,000 years ago, and so that history in the English C lesson, right, doesn't apply to them specifically. Number one. Now, complete. That's an idea right there. Now, when you say they're trying to control the seeds, because that's a big thing with the GMO, right? Is that the GMO is specifically genetically engineered to oh, let me get my what's the name out there. what was I saying? Oh yeah. So they got those seeds particularly modified so that they can survive the Roundup poison spray. And so uh, they don't want nobody else. I mean, they modified for that. They modified to grow the biggest apples or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the most tasty, but the ones that according to the size and the weight they can make the most money off of. So then they don't want other people to be growing those. They don't want no competition. So yeah, they control the seeds on that. I did think about that, but it's still. I mean, that's one of those. Biting off your nose to spite your face kind of things. So what about some hybrid fruits and veggies can be due to natural cross pollination from indeed. That's what I'm saying. That there's natural growth and development, right? That's different than natural growth and development. There's cultivation. There's other things that bring about changes in people. You know what I'm saying? See, what Yakub did is took advantage and manipulated the laws that already existed. You see what I'm saying? Meaning that people could already produce black babies and brown babies when they got to Patmos. You see what I'm saying? Yakub just manipulated that law, right, by destroying the black seed, you know what I'm saying, and then the brown seed and then the yellow seed. It's easier to eat them without seeds? I don't think so. I don't like that. But yeah, getting back to this was well, I guess that was the first one right there. But yeah, we open for questions now to let's see what the deal is. Let me see if I start trouble. That doesn't always work out. If if you're new to the channel, you may not be aware that it doesn't always work out when open up the floor to questions. Actually, I got the what's the name. I don't even know how it works. Let me see. Can I? How do I make a comment? I'm trying to. can't. Watermelon seeds. I don't know why I can't. Trying to figure out how to. I can't post a comment. Can't follow. Can't get can't get the comment into the stream here. That's it. So I can put the so I can put the link. So that's one thing about being fancy. I ain't gonna figure out all this technology. But yeah, back to the business at hand. You know what I'm saying? We got we got any other questions? Y'all better look. Now's the time to speak up because now that my food is done, I'm feeling real black. I don't know if y'all want me to incomplete. Some speaking of the weekend of Exodus and everything. Recently I was wondering what happened to those people that made Freedom. It's Freedom or Freedom Town, Georgia. It was I know it was at least two women that they had put their money together and brought their families and everything together to buy some land to build a town during the time of the George Floyd thing. There's a bacterial outbreak in Mecca. You check them out in the Far East. Or you talking about Harlem? Oh, all right. You did the knowledge to that. If there's a bacterial outbreak in Mecca, it's not exactly the kind of news we like to hear. Bacterial pneumonia outbreak in Harlem? Yeah, hopefully they get that. Hopefully they get that under control. You know, the good thing is, it's the summertime. Listeria in Harlem? Cluster of cases concentrated in central Harlem and bordering communities. Yeah, 127. That's that's us. Legionnaire's disease. Okay, which ones we got? Pneumonia, listeria, Legionnaire's disease. I mean, all of this is. I mean, the listeria and the Legionnaire's disease. I know bacterial pneumonia is a little bit, but Legionnaires and listeria, those is not exactly. Uh, those not exactly. You don't hear about that too much in New York. Okay, so Legionnaire is not listeria. One person has died, and there's been 58 confirmed cases. Man, yeah, hopefully they get that under control. And so Legionnaire's disease. I mean, how common is that? Is that like I've heard of it before, but I don't. And how does one contract Legionnaire's disease? Like, is it airborne? Through water vapors. So that's pretty much airborne. So I guess you gotta watch who you're talking to and who's sneezing around you. But you know something? Now putting all this two and two together, I have noticed a couple of people wearing masks. Like the surgical mask that everybody was wearing, during the lockdown. I I did notice that. I don't know if that's connected, but I would tell my clients to support the body against infections and promote lung health, recommending a multifaceted approach living, involving dietary changes and targeted nutritional supplementation. So it has been said that it can grow into the plumbing. Hmm. Man, said it usually comes from fresh water and can seep into the drinking water system. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you gotta be on point, man. Even like the brother was just saying, you just right now, you just gotta, you gotta stay on point with your health. But it's one of the things, you know, uh, from what I've seen, the vast majority of the time, it's like, see, health is something that you gotta be building on. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta already, like there's some things that you could cross that bridge when you get to it, right? But you can't say like, yo, if I have a heart attack, then I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm gonna deal with my health. I'm gonna eat all whole grains and shit. You know, when I have a heart attack, it's something that you already gotta, what I'm saying, be building up to. So yeah, it's just other signs, but that's I yeah, I've had that happen, in the last years, where it's like, yeah, I'm glad that uh, I had dietary law, all this time, what I'm saying, you know, from the nation and before the nation, what I'm saying, and some things that I learned, after I had the knowledge, but I always had a certain amount of dietary law where, when it came times like what was going on with the lockdown or whatever, I was confident in my immune system. I generally like it could be years that pass that I don't even get a cold. And, we could always we could always count on our teeth to hit us with some controversial health claims. Anyone else out there? We got all, is it all quiet people out there today? This is a little bit, this is the format over here. This is not, you got channels where they do the video essays. I don't know if that's what y'all want me to do, to come on and do, a video essay where they basically just talk, and then, they could upload that at any time. You get to put, you get to edit and all of that. But this is more of an interactive format over here. So, along with fortification. See, fortification is a little bit funny too, though. If you're talking about like the type of dietary, like cereal is fortified. I think rice. A couple of things that they put vitamins in, but that's kind of, they got to do that because the the diet is incomplete, or at least not compatible uh, with the people that they trying to change their diet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been people who, according to the FDA, whatever this thing is that they eat and they shouldn't be eating. But when they try to take them off of it, their health suffered. You know what I mean? Because whatever adaptations they had made, they got to the point where they was thriving off of that. He said, been used for thousands of years. Silver spoon, copper dots. I mean, look, like I said, with with the whole title of this live, with the whole title of this live is that, look, there should be some people, right, that by now uh, can come back and tell us whether you lied or not. Like the dude Kellogg cereal, he made cereal because that was supposed to be like some religious, spiritual food. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to cure all diseases and everything. But now it's like 150 years later, after he made those claims, and we see that now that's the cereal is not the key to longevity, which is what he was promoting at that time. So that's all I was thinking. All right, yeah, fortifying self by eating the right food. Yeah. It says Senate document 263 in the 1930s. Soil in the U.S. does not have the nutrients to support health. You must supplement. I mean, I don't. When it says soil in the U.S. does not have the nutrients to support health, right? What is this? What is behind this? Catalog was a eugenicist, indeed, but as a eugenicist, he thought that the key to longevity was eating his cereal. See, that's another thing about these claims, right? is that the people who tell you this stuff, right? They always got the stuff to sell you that you need. I mean, you know, I hear you about these various things, but the point is that when a person is complete with all these ciphers that they're going through, whether in an individual situation or in life, then we could weigh and judge it and say, that there's people to tell rather, whoever's the person, whether they lied or not. You know what I'm saying? Of course, if you don't have anybody left to say whether you lied or not, that's probably a bad sign. If what you're talking about is health, if hey, look, I'm just saying, like, look, if you was a heart surgeon, right, and it was like, yeah, well, you ain't got nobody to say whether you was a good heart surgeon or a bad heart surgeon. Reasonable people could assume that you're probably a bad heart surgeon, being that you don't have any clients left. So Kellogg cereal brands are being bought out by Ferrero, the Italian confectionery company behind Nutella for 3.1 billion. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff right now. They cereal is over. But so when I got the pounded yam at the rest, hey, listen, look, that's one of the reasons is that you got new people in America that ain't grow up with Tony the Tiger. I don't even know when was the last time you seen a Tony the Tiger commercial. Maybe it's because I don't really watch TV. I watch, uh, various internet channels. I got the Fire Stick and the internet TV and all of that. So maybe that's why I'm not seeing it, or maybe it's that I'm older. It's just confirmation bias. I'm not watching the shows that they would advertise on, but you couldn't escape Lucky Charms and the three snap crackle and pop and all these various people, you know, and just in general, I've seen a lot of things. Like candy and all of that stuff. It's not like it used to be. First of all, it's too expensive. Like if you a little kid, you 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you're not trying to spend $2 on a Snickers. Not in this economy. He said Lynn Byers had a dream of a heart surgeon, died. He had a heart attack. With the lead heart surgeon on his case died at 53 of a heart attack because doctors don't believe in nutrition. Yeah, but see, this is what I'm saying. It's you know, when you present these things, right? I'm just saying in order, like, see, like for instance, you saying nutrition. So this is something that you want me to consume on the inside of my body, right? So I'm saying that there's other things like you said. Lynn Byers had a dream team of heart surgeons and died. Yeah, but God, it was cocaine. Like you can't leave out It's not what was the heart surgeon going to do after he consumed that much cocaine, right? And the people did all that hesitation by the time they reported it. You know, all the various cleaning up and that they had to do. You know, yeah, you can't. And then when you say his heart surgeon died at 53 of a heart attack, you know what I'm saying? I mean, was he about to be attacked by a lion and he had a heart attack? I don't, you know what I'm saying? You gotta, you gotta fill in the rest of these blanks because this is science. Said the Kellogg Company traces its roots back to the late 1800s when W.K. Kellogg and his brother John Harvey Kellogg began experimenting with cereal flakes at the Battle Creek Sanitarium. Yeah, yeah, the stores have it on the shelves heavily, but it's always heavily discounted, is what I'm noticing. Like I remember back in the days when you know when I used to eat cereal, right? You know, you go to the store and you go in the aisle to try to get your mom to get this kind of cereal or that kind of cereal, and it's gone. Like that's just a new paradigm. And see the amount of money that they making the kids spend, they like, yeah, for that I might as well go to, you know, they got a store out here, Crumble or something with some fancy donuts, and maybe you get two donuts for $10. I don't even know how much it is, right? But it's like, yeah, if you want me to spend $2 on a candy bar, yeah, I might as well, you know, if you know, especially if you know you already hit ages like you 14, 15, 16. Look, I might as well instead of getting this candy bar, right? I could take the young lady to get some of these $10 donuts. Some of these $10 for two donuts. You see what I'm saying? And kill two birds with one stone instead of wasting my money on candy. But I digress. You know, well, look, that'll come off good because, see, like I said, this is also being broadcast on the City Sciences channel. So that part looks good. That part sounds good for that channel. But we got any other? Because I have some technical reasons that I need to keep this video below 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? I know what y'all thinking, but I know you people.
Ready Rock hit the block where the trees at.
Anyone else before we wind this down? And I go get my vittles. I go get my vittles. Oh yeah, the book bag drive. We got the book bag drive coming up this year on the. We got the book bag drive this year on the 29th. So, various people that want to add on, we're going to have the book bag, we're going to have supplies. Right now we working on doing a little lightweight cookout, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to have, lightweight burgers, franks, not too much, maybe some chickens, maybe. Says society, media, institutions present food and health information in ways that are often contradictory, patronizing, or misleading. See, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these scientific approaches to some things is starting to get a little ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons I think that is because it's not. Uh, I don't want to say that medicine is not a hard science, but it can't be 100% exact because everybody it is a super delay on the chat. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I gotta maybe I gotta go back to looking at the I gotta get on the screen with just the chat so I can see it in a period of time. But yeah, a lot of this science based stuff because see everybody got the same uh, everybody got the same biology, right? Everybody got the same, but we don't have the same chemistry. We don't have the same biochemistry. Everybody, uh, you know, you got the same anatomy, but you don't have the same physiology. You know what I'm saying? Like some people's eyes is a little bit closer together, or whatever. So, in order for stuff like this to be exact, you see what I mean? Like you can have a food that's a health food, but then I might be allergic to it. You know what I'm saying? Or just in general, it's like, yeah, if you keep studying stuff enough times, right, then, just by the probability, you end up getting various outcomes. And so now you got this outcome is the product of that study, and that outcome is the product of that study. You know what I'm saying? Like the other day, I just saw I just saw a study that said that uh, red meat red meat is worse for your health than processed food. And they said that it was like a 75-year study, but it was like, all right, see right there, that already calls in some questions for me, right? Which is, uh, you know, it wasn't the same processed food. Meaning, like, if you go back 75 years, okay, they eating processed food, but they not eating fruit roll-ups for breakfast. They not eating Pop-Tarts for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Processed food to them is like, a turkey sandwich. Where you bought the turkey from the supermarket. You know what I'm saying? That's totally different. You said medicine is BS. If your doctor some paperwork, is that a good thing? You saying that, but the basics are the basics. If you're allergic, it's because some other shit you are messed up. Your digestion. I mean, look, I see. Here's the thing. I got one patient. I got one patient, right? You know, I had some clients, but now that they reach a certain age, they don't come to the good doctor no more, right? I got one patient. That's all I need to see is a person's patience. You understand what I'm saying? See, my patient, right? You said was the red meat full of antibiotics. That's what I'm saying. All these is other variables that it's like, yeah, them saying that didn't necessarily impress me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that my patient, right? At power understanding, I've been dealing with this patient for you know power understanding years. And this patient is in tip top condition. The patient doesn't exhibit, any signs of illness. Patient really gets a common cold. You know, patient doesn't get headaches. Patient, so if I see some people with some patients, right, that I'm like, damn, how you doing all them pull ups at 150? You know, the person won't have to explain to me anything. They wouldn't even have to tell me. I would just start doing the things that I seen them do. Is this why natural medicine and use deals with the using the science of biology, chemistry, with physics to heal as it pertains to the person, biochemical form of matter? It makes it more evolving as a science than contemporary medicine. Well, uh, when I guess the way I look at natural medicine, right, is something evolving from kind of I don't know that name. I doubt they came up with that name for themselves. You know what I mean? But like the witch doctors, you know what I'm saying? And with them, that was uh, a little bit more. Who's this? The Napalm Jaquan show. Welcome to the channel, Napalm Jaquan. You said you agree. What is it that you agree with? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, those people, they experimented with all of the stuff. Whatever is the medicines, whatever that they gave people, that was stuff that they experimented on. Uh, they own self, and so especially when you're dealing with that time where it's like, okay, this person, because look, this is a part of medicine, right? This person is from the population of people that he's treating. And so there's just a much better chance that they're going to react the way he reacts. See, like various people, even men and women, right, got different biochemistry. And so, uh, you know, it's this is one of the things, this is not a feminist channel, you know what I'm saying? But, you hear women saying that, that they have worse outcomes. They have worse outcomes in, medicine. And that's one of the reasons is that they got a whole different biochemistry. It's not just that you could say, okay, if you gave a person that's 6 foot this much medicine, right, then you could just reduce it by this much for a woman. You know what I'm saying? Or you could give, like, because you give a woman one estrogen pill, right, to deal with whatever is the situation with her health, then what you could just do is subscribe 1.5 estrogen pills to a man, and then it'll fix. You see what I'm saying? Is different biochemistry. You see what I'm saying? So a person that's from that population, you know what I mean, and then the people that he's treating, they from around there. So all of these substances, even when we talking about the allergies and all of that, they much less likely to have that. You understand what I'm saying? Because all of that is from their environment. They probably would have been had a negative reaction and not be around if they was allergic to things that's in their environment. All right, so Napalm, Jaquan said, I agree there's a difference biochemically, which is why it is imperative that we have our own physicians who specialize in black physiology. You know, that's look. Look. See, that's why I hate. That's why I hate when people mess up the word for you. Because when you first said that, that was black biology. That was Cape Man's. That was Cape Man's program or whatever you call it there. You know what I'm saying? Uh, he said family dogs used to live to about 30 years old. Purity started fortifying with vitamins and minerals. Now people's dogs live to 12 to 20. Well, I don't. That's a different. I would have to see those studies. They see you making a lot of statements, and it's like I'm not even saying that they're not true. But me personally, not being an animal person, I don't really know about that. And then I don't know, and that's another thing is Purina has been around for the whole time that I'm alive. So I wouldn't have known somebody. I wouldn't have known that person. You know what I'm saying? But there's 1,000 other things, right? Like you said, family dogs used to live to about 30 years old, right? So you said until Purina started doing it. So there's a birth record to that, right? So you can say, okay, Purina was made at this particular time. Like the company was invented and started operation at this time, right? But here's the thing, right? At some point, people started, like if you look at bottled water, right? And you look at the rise of people drinking bottled water, just because I was around at the time, right? I happen to know that, people contracting HIV, that kind of happened around the same time. You understand what I mean? But I don't know necessarily that drinking bottled water causes one to contract HIV. You see what I'm saying? It's these things you gotta show me some dogs that's raised without Purina that's 30. You said you cannot deal with medicine with ratios, but you can with nutrition. Allergies are because one's digestive tract is off. Histamines are released from the from the cut. Okay, so can we get some proof? You said watch dead athletes don't lie. What is dead athletes? I mean, you should watch dead doctors don't lie. I mean, what is, when we watch it, right? Can we get some type of summary or synopsis of what it is that we're going to see? What is it there that said those videos explain a good bit about why supplementation is necessary with facts. So are these videos, you know, because, and I know I'm doing YouTube videos, right? But just for me personally, I find it difficult to, uh, base supreme knowledge and wisdom off of YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? So, not saying that the YouTube video is wrong, but just saying that, that would still be one layer for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be one layer that I saw the video, and then if it was somebody that I knew to have many patience, right? This stuff gotta be, look, have you been following the stuff with Dr. Umar? It's many people like, remember it. I don't know if y'all, cause y'all, I'm a YouTube, I'm big time YouTube, so I watch YouTube, right? What about the Liver King? Have you heard about the Liver King? Now he came on making all of these same, or some of these same accusations that you making, right? In terms of uh, the the standard American diet, being poor and all of that, which I do agree with. But his remedy was that you had to eat raw meat, and so he used to be eating on his channel raw liver. You know what I'm saying? He used to be eating raw liver. He used to be eating bull testicles. You know what I'm saying? Various stuff. He said Melchizedek is 80 something. He's a Navy bean eater. He's doing well. Okay, but Arif is 80 something, and he eats meat. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying he's having a raw steak with just sauce. When he gets to the house, but I mean, I know he eats. He's not vegan. He's not a Navy bean eater per se. He probably eats them. Is he a patient of these people, or is he applying the dietary law that these people uh, prescribe in these videos? You said the steroid cracker. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. But he presented himself as whoever he presented himself. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, he came on, said he was 100% natty, right? And all of that came from him living a lifestyle that was close to ancient man, right? And from him eating raw meat. There's him. Look, there's another dude, right? There's two dudes that had a static for years. In fact, I haven't seen either one of them in years. I'm gonna look them up. It was a dude named Vegan Games, right? And he used to always be battling back and forth with this dude named Mike Tefano. And they used to be arguing. Mike Tefano was he was on the with the Liver King, all of that. They call that the carnivore diet. And so he was eating the raw meat too, and him and Vegan Gaines used to go back and forth. They used to have like debates, like not just debate like I'm on my channel, just talking shit about you, right? And you and your channel talking shit about me. They have organized debates where they came together, presented, and they both have presentations where the body and the cells react like this, and the other person, the body and the cells react like that. You know what I'm saying? Or you got 10,000 diets. You know what I mean? As far as losing weight, some people get on a diet and gain weight. He said Melchizedek is applying Elijah's knowledge. Yeah, but we how we get back to how Elijah get in this? I mean, guaranteed. Now, look, if you was, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. That look, if you're talking about Melchizedek, you're talking about born God, you know what I'm saying? Brothers like that I know to be vegan. Born God is 80 something too. You know what I'm saying? But there's other people. Look, I was with Alim today. He's got power. You know what I'm saying? And going strong. But he got a different dietary law. So You know, all of those things, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of that stuff, like that's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, you got people that look, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they eat perfect, all that, die in their 40s, or, you know, pass away in their 40s. And then you can go outside and see somebody that's been drinking gallons of liquor per day since before I was born. And ain't nothing, they ain't going, they ain't never even had a pain in their chest. Chocolate, dopest man alive, said the root of love and happiness is knowing, becoming wise and comprehending. That's death, hell, and destruction to everything interfering with our love, peace, and happiness. I mean, well, yeah, that's a little bit more simplified than uh, that's a little more simplified than the way we covered it in the beginning of the live stream. But you know, in that type of way, like that, you know, you're talking about it as uh, you know, kind of like in the ideal, right? In the ideal of, you know, how you applying what you know when you applying your mathematics, right? This is the outcome that you're looking for. Okay, it's not. See what I'm saying, right? Is let's look at it from the reality based standpoint, right? Look, my mom passed away. You know what I'm saying? You know, I done been in various, you know, conditions, you know, from neighborhoods that I rested in to, you know, various ciphers that I got myself involved with. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, yo, I'm over here with all love, peace, and happiness, and death, hell, and destruction is all. Nah, we going through that. You know what I'm saying? Various things. You know, we all know ciphers that, you know, destruction is when the cipher come complete with unexpectedly. You see what I'm saying? We done all had, look, even when you was a kid, man, you broke your toys. You know, so that's why, you know, I present a little bit more as, you know, these is the conditions of the mind. These is kind of the elements of the conditions of the mind that we call heaven and hell. These is things that we go through right here, you know what I'm saying, on the planet. You understand what I'm saying? You know, these is just things that, you know, we had to experience on our journey to either coming out right, right, or getting stuck in hell. See, if you don't love yourself enough, right, and you could love something that's the element in hell, like whatever it is, you love that more than you love yourself because you destroy yourself, or you know, you doing this is destroying you. You know, now it could be, you know, a sickness or whatever, you addicted, you know, what I'm not, but I'm just saying that rather it's you consciously or subconsciously doing it, right? You love something more than you love your own self. You love something more than you love right. You love something in hell more than you love right. You know what I'm saying? But we all gonna go through those 21 cycles. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, like I said earlier, you know, you see the two before the one right there. It's already telling you it's going to be some bullshit that you got to go through on this planet. But see, you got to be able to reverse the polarity. You see what I'm saying? If you got enough power, then you're able to reverse the polarity through addition. You see what I'm saying? Because 2 plus 1 is 3. And 2 plus 1 plus 3, right, is 6. And 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 12. Knowledge and wisdom. So sometimes, you in a situation, you know what I'm saying? Look, it might be 2-1, right? Look, it's something may have been destroyed, right? But this is life, right? Living mathematics. See, that thing might have had to been destroyed so that the righteous thing could be born into the cipher. See, some people, you know what I'm saying, but these is things that have to occur. That's why I say it's not, that's religious type of thing, right? We in this place where it's heaven and everything is just rosy, you know, nobody falls down and scrapes their knee, you know, nobody's ever hungry, every meal is your favorite food, and then you got this other place, hell, where you're just swimming in a boiling pot of water, you know what I'm saying, just every day for however long. Now, those is conditions that's right here on the planet, right, that we creating for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Guaranteed, some of it is just dealt to us, right? But even within that condition, right, you know, that we discussed earlier, you got people who, you know, they in this situation where it's like, whatever it is that you think is heavy, right? They got money, they got, nice things, whatever, they got a big family and all of this, and they unalive themselves. And then you got people, man, where, they living in, the worst kind of oppression, right? Where their life is on the line every day, and they always got a smile on their face. You see what I'm saying? But each person is going through the 21 ciphers here on the planet. But that's the more, not to say that what you were saying was wrong, but just bringing it back a little bit closer to what was the kind of message that I wanted to get across out there, which is that part. You know what I'm saying? That these is all things, just, in the march of, what I'm saying, even the 5%, right? As a nation, it's like, every bit of news that you hear is not going to be good news. Everybody that you interact with is not necessarily going to be a helping hand. But this is why we have the knowledge of self. You see what I mean? Because those is all the worlds from the highest to the lowest. So we want to deal with the highest, right? Like, look, I just made the food. See, now look, I want to eat, right? But at some point you gotta wash the dishes too. That part, that's not the best part of food. Washing the dishes. But this is a cipher you gotta deal with. That's a simple one. this is the stuff that people get on the internet now and complain about is these various ciphers that they've had to conquer. Rather they've been able to conquer it by going through them, going around them, or going over them. See, that's why for me, I don't have. See, a lot of people, that's the religion, right? Where it's like you don't want to talk about none of the bad parts of what may be even happening and something that you endeavoring to do. Like you might be trying to do something, right? And there's hurdles, and you thinking that by not acknowledging those hurdles, like they're going to go away. That's not the way I do it. I acknowledge that there's a hurdle there. And so now I can calculate when I got to jump. See, some people will wait till they bust their ass, right? Run straight head first into the hurdle and then complain about the hurdle. You know what's there. See, like I said, that's you here on the planet, right? For your whole life with the devil, right? You ain't do nothing to take the devil off your planet, and then you're gonna wait for some mysterious being to come and handle for you. No, you got to acknowledge that. Okay, these is the issues right here, right? This is the obstacles right here, right? So now this is how I'm gonna move. This is how I got to move in this atmosphere right here. See, like, look, every person is growing up, right? And you're gonna have to survive, right? And this is the wilderness of North America, where you're gonna need money to survive, right? So now, who's ever is the individual, right? I'm talking about now, you addressing children, right? Whoever's the individual. Okay, now how you gonna go about conquering that hurdle, right? You're gonna use education. You're gonna use a blower. You're gonna be a robber. You're gonna sell drugs. You understand what I mean? These is the various things, right? That of how you like. Okay, I'm in this. This is, let's say you dealing with poverty or whatever. So this is hell dealing with that, right? And now you want to get out of hell. So now you see how we back at another point that we made, right? Now, depending on what you're doing, right? If you're dealing with education, right? That's different. That's different from if you decide to use a gun and now you're gonna rob people. So now, right? You getting to heaven by creating hell for other people. Or do we not acknowledge? That's what I'm saying. Do we not acknowledge that whatever we doing, it has consequences, intended and unintended. And so, you got people that look, they trip over all the hurdles in hell. And so they remain there. They remain there because, you know, uh, religion. But being that we rehashed that, I mean, if nobody else has, I think that's a good. We started. We started. I think that's a good place right there to wind it down. If we don't have any more questions, we'll give it. We'll give it a minute or two. We'll give it a minute or two and see what y'all come up with. You know what I'm saying? But it was decent. It was decent. Like I said, we didn't get the level of class participation. We didn't get the level of participation from the comment section that we usually do, but we'll live. We will live. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and wind it down like that there. There we go. That's everyone. Everyone gets the knowledge. You and you and you and you and you and you and you. So shout out. We saw a couple of new names in here today. We saw a couple of new names in here today. A couple of people we haven't seen in a minute. Shaka La, dopest man alive. We ain't seen him in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else came in we hadn't seen in a minute. But anybody that's new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. You know, those of us that we always come through the each one teach one, hit the like button. I'm gonna sign off and say peace. And I got all these new toys now, so I'm kind of inspired to do a couple more videos for the week. So we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what's the deal? Matter of fact, you know what? I keep missing because uh, because I got my live stream on Monday. I can't. It's hard for me to get the timing back down, but I gotta make it back through. I gotta. I want to hear. I want to hear how y'all finish lacing things up. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, in between time, I'm gonna sign off and say peace, and we'll see if we make it back